Typically in this county, as the labor begins to tighten, the layoffs happen and people get cut. We had to find ways to employ people, even at the sake of the monthly financials.
If you had done huge layoffs, you'd lose a lot of that institutional knowledge, the training that's been built up, and obviously some amount of loyalty.
You not only build that loyalty, but you sustain it, and it becomes part of the culture. I'm really blessed to be able to work with the people we work with. We're really sensing a huge uptick in what I would call just raw throughput. People are just performing, producing better. I think with their support and their excitement, we're just really in a good position to take on new opportunities and growth.
Kurt, welcome back to Empowered Owners. I think you're our first third-time guest on the show. So welcome back to Empowered Owners.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the invite and always enjoy being on the podcast.
Yeah, that's great. So you're here to, give an update for Paramount on how the company's doing and how things have been going. And, I think I appreciate, that since this is our third time, we've got, a cadence now. Once a year, we kind of check in on things. And it's been an interesting couple years, an interesting year for Paramount and companies in the industry that Paramount is in. So why don't we just start off with a general overview of just how would you describe kind of how things have been going at Paramount over the last year or so?
Well, I think our primary markets, Chris, are RV and marine, of course, and we've gathered quite a significant amount of business in the specialty vehicles. RV, we service the Class A market, and even though from 24 to 25, even though 25 overall for the Class A market was down, we didn't take as big a hit because the higher end or premium units were actually a little bit up. So we've seen a little bit of tightening on the middle of the market type of units. And of course, the lower end units have kind of slowed down considerably. So albeit we've seen a little bit of a decline in the market, we've been able to sustain at least break even with what we're doing. Marine's down 9% overall in the market. It's seen some softening. We were able to, pick up some additional market shares with customers we had, and it's been a positive from that standpoint. So again, we've been kind of break even. Specialty vehicles actually been pretty steady. We've got a couple of opportunities that actually have grown over that period. We've got a customer that's seen some growth over that same period. So all in all, we felt like we've held our own. Now the market itself has been down or not as robust as post-COVID for now 2.5 years probably. But we felt like middle summer of last year, we've seen a little bit of an uptick. It got some energy, kind of held off on doing hiring at that point because we weren't sure if it was a real deal or not. And it turned out it's been a steady flow of orders. So we've actually began to try to write the crew and get it adjusted up so that we can make the orders. Got a little bit of a backlog during that period, but we've all but got that caught back up now. So it's been an interesting, challenging year. In some ways, it's been good, and overall numbers have been a little bit better, but all in all, still not where we want it. Still not performing at the level we'd hoped.
Yeah, still a lot of potential to kind of grow and get back to some levels that Paramount saw in the past. But maybe just talk a little bit more about the industry, which really feeds that, which is, during the COVID years, we're still kind of in the end parts of dealing with a huge growth and fast growth in the RV and to some degree marine market during COVID. That when Paramount joined EV in late 2021, like we were right, Paramount was right in the middle of that huge growth. And then for like a lot of companies, actually, the COVID kind of thing fell off and it slowed down for a few years. And it's been a little bit prolonged of a slowdown coming out of COVID than maybe anybody expected is kind of what I've kind of understood. Is that kind of how you've seen it?
Yeah, being in this marketplace for almost 44 years now, I've never seen a a cycle this long. And I think we can all attribute that to post-COVID. COVID was, during COVID, people were looking for ways to get outside and spend time with families. And, the RV made good sense because they could be by themselves, isolated, but yet at the same time spending time together.
Yeah.
Boats were similar in that same nature. It was outside activities. I think the market absolutely exploded at the level that, no one expected.
Right.
And we began selling units like absolute crazy. And I think what happened was post-COVID, those that glut of inventory that was in the market obviously had to be reconciled.
Yeah.
But even then, when we got back to normal and people didn't have time to go out and do the camping and boating like they had been, they found it to be, not as important to them. So I think a lot of units hit the market as used units, and that created like a second glut of inventory that had to be kind of reconciled. So I think we're finally getting beyond that. There's no question that, things like interest and fuel economy and fuel prices, those things have impact and they have an effect. So, we're starting to see some improvements in the fuel costs, interest rates. We've seen several, rate lowerings, and I think that's starting to show some consumer interest in, going back to doing some purchasing. So I think all in all, we're on the verge of opening back up of the market. I think it's just going to take a little time here to get the remaining cobwebs out of the system, I think, and then we'll get back on our feet and get going.
Yeah.
We've seen a little bit of an uptick, like I said, last summer. So I think this spring, depending on how we all come out on the, this consumer interest rate drops, I think we'll see some activity. There's certainly pent-up demand, I think.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see some activity at the end of that.
Yeah, that's great. I think one of the things that's always impressed me about Paramount, and I've been able to observe now over the last couple of years under your leadership, is like the approach to people, during challenge. And I'd be curious if you would want to talk a little bit about how, the market, the RV market, the kind of region to the approach to people, how that's happened in most companies, like during these periods of fall off, and maybe how Paramount navigated that a little differently over the last couple of years than maybe some companies do, in the RV space.
Yeah, there's no question, Chris, that we had to navigate it differently. Being employee owners, obviously every one of our staff expects they'll be working, they expect to have a paycheck at the end of the week, and they prefer it not to be 2.5-day paychecks. So atypically in this county, as the labor begins to tighten, layoffs happen and people get cut. And what we had to do over the last year and a half is we had to find ways to employ people, even at the sake of the monthly financials. We had to keep them. It's so important to keep the employee owner stabilized so that we're not losing people to other opportunities and having to recreate those positions. So we ended up doing a very good job of it. The financials some months weren't as good as we'd hoped, but at the end of it all, we did a fair job at managing through it, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So we're at the point now. I'm excited that we're at the point where we're profitable. We're basically able to have a little bit extra and the income coming in. And that's been a blessing for us. I think, we got everybody back to 40 hours. We're working a little bit overtime even. So it's exciting to see us come back at least to that level and not have to prop it up, to get through.
Operationally, if you had done huge layoffs, like some maybe would have done, you lose a lot of that institutional knowledge, the training that's been built up, and obviously the some amount of loyalty, with the team and the culture. And then when things come back, you have to hire back all those people and train them. And it's just that kind of significant fluctuation approach. That brings with it a lot of negative externalities too to leading a company. And I don't know how you feel, but leading an employee-owned company, to me, this is one of the big benefits is you can kind of stabilize through some of the challenges like that. And it's actually good for everybody, including leaders, to not have to go through such violent change, when there's ups and downs.
Yeah, there's no question, Chris. Turbulence is a big factor. And one thing that we've experienced before I came to the opportunity with Empower, obviously I was in a typical company here in Elkhart County where we laid off, for example, in the 08, 09, 07, 08, 09 downturn, we were down below 50% of our staff. We cut so deeply that there was people at 15 plus years and that was all that was left.
Hey.
So what you tend to find out, and you're right, there's no loyalty from either side, from the company side or the employee side, and you don't ever develop that loyalty. And one thing that I've been able to enjoy through the employee ownership here at Empower is that you not only build that loyalty, but you sustain it, and it becomes part of the culture. So we've got a tremendous culture that has developed here now. I'm really blessed to be able to work with the people we work with because they really identify as a family. And I mean, it's amazing when you're sitting at your desk and an employee walks in and says, "Hey, we're having an employee birthday bash out in the plant at 8:00. Can you come out and join us?" It's that kind of connectivity that you build through that loyalty. And that you're right. The benefit of that is you're not constantly replacing that, and you're not constantly trying to convince a group of people that you care about them, but you really don't when you have to cut them loose like that. And when they see that you're willing to invest into them for a year and a half and keep them earning their pay, even though they know they were slower, that gives them the incentive to give back to the company during the times that they can. And I think that's where we're at now. We're really sensing a huge uptick in what I would call just raw throughput. People are just performing, producing better. Yeah. And I think they're back to where we were during that COVID period where we were hitting record sales weeks. And we were just so excited because we were hitting numbers we hadn't hit before. We're similar to that now in that these people know what they can do and they know what they can accomplish. And even the newer people that don't know what they can accomplish, the more seasoned or tenured employees are helping direct them along to get them to get them jobs done that need to get done. So we've really been able to experience some benefit and blessings through having that loyal tenure and longevity that a lot of companies here in Elkhart County have not been able to enjoy. The other part of it is safety. We've been really, really focused on safety here at Paramount. Made it a big commitment early 25 to make some corrections on that and added some staff, some help with the safety program. We've really made a huge improvement on that, and I think it's become more of our culture now. It's people recognize working safely is a very important part of being here at Paramount for our success. And I think in most companies in Elkhart County, you'll find that safety is like the last thing they worry about. And unfortunately for Elkhart County, we've had a couple major accidents at different companies that have taken people's lives. So we really are focused on that this year or last year and this year now. So we're really focused on getting everybody in here, getting them to get their jobs done and getting them home safe so that nothing happens in the process.
I love that so much. So I think keeping the conversation going on culture and people probably makes sense. So earlier this year, Paramount, like other companies, had some internal challenges, navigated some internal challenges. And I think for me, it's been so fun and neat to see the team come together and rally and not end up ultimately pulling apart. The challenges ended up kind of pulling the team together, I feel like. And I'm curious what that's been like for you to see and be a part of.
I think for me, it's been a 44-year career has probably been the most significant thing that I've ever had happen. We've had so many people that have not only seen need, but stepped into that need and leaned into it. We were at a point where we were not convinced we could ever get back to those numbers that we had made before. We were having weekly staff meetings and we were bouncing around different strategies and things. And
Yeah.
Kept coming back to maybe we will never get back to those numbers. And we began almost to believe that in ourselves that we couldn't make those numbers.
Good.
But I think what we did is we kind of pushed a reset. We pushed a reset button. We said, hey, let's start by making our objectives clear.
Yep.
Let's let everyone know what it is we're trying to accomplish. And then we'll talk through what it looks like to give them the tools to navigate those objectives. And I think once we got on the same page with everybody, we began to see traction.
Good.
And we began to, obviously perform better. Our piece count went up, our dollars went up, and all of a sudden we're hitting these record sales weeks again. Not only with on orders, but with backlog too. But we were able to move that backlog through a lot quicker by doing that. There was a very strong, almost rally amongst the team to hit those numbers, and we gave them some incentives to do so, and they kept hitting those incentives, regularly, and every time they hit an incentive was almost a reason to party. In other words, so we got really stoked and excited and started doing some special things, and not only meeting some of the old objectives, but actually exceeding them. And that's been phenomenal. And the support from them to me on a personal level, I mean, I can't tell you how many stopped in and said, hey, we appreciate you, or we're pulling hard to get this thing back in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think it's important, though, to let them know what's going on, to, be honest and be transparent. Don't try to hide. In a lot of circumstances, things, get a little sideways and we try to hide it. We don't want to be very transparent, but we're afraid it might send a signal or a message. And I think we didn't do that. We were very transparent. We were very open and conversive about it, and got them on board and got them to buy in. And I think that's the biggest reason we've seen the success we've seen in the latter part of last year. We got some momentum, we got some traction, and then it's like once you get that traction, it just repeats itself, and it's so encouraging.
Yeah, that's been fun to see, and really appreciate your leadership through all of that. There's one other piece which I think is, has been really fun for me to see, which is just various folks like stepping up, like you mentioned earlier, kind of seeing the need and stepping up. And it seems like there's a lot of people at Paramount kind of excited about their own ability to impact the business. And I'm wondering what that's been like for you to see.
Well, I think, it was one of the pieces of the culture that we had really tried hard to work on. In other words, from an individual's aspect, what can I do to make the bottom line better? And I think we hadn't really made that full connection.
Yep.
I think by having the issues that we had, I think it allowed us to be more transparent, specific as to what it is or was we were looking for. And I think that's allowed them to identify more specific on an individual basis. What can I do to make this better? What can I do to, make my fellow team member or my lead or my supervisor's day better?
Definitely.
And we've seen a large amount of that start happening. And it's contagious. Once you start seeing one doing it, then you got two. And, the next thing you know, you've got the whole crew and the whole departments performing at levels that you haven't seen. Yep. You don't see as much lackadaisical, uncertainty as we used to see. So from a supervision level, I'm excited. We've got a very strong management team from the supervisor level up. We're still working on our leads. We're encouraging them and training them to, be specific in their duties to get things done a certain way, and more or less, how to treat people with dignity, respect, and keep that momentum going. I think now that they've seen it, they want to keep that momentum going. So
yeah,
that's been encouraging too.
That's neat. So something I've observed on your LinkedIn postings is that you have an employee owner of the month, the Paramount. Everyone votes, I think, and someone gets picked as the employee owner of the month, and it seems like people really care about that award and take it seriously. And I've noticed that in the pictures that the number of people celebrating with the employee owner of the month has grown a lot. And I'm curious if that reflects any kind of cultural change.
Well, I don't think any one of us has been, that much specific to improving the employee that becomes the employee of the month. So I think it's more of all of us.
Yeah.
So we did encourage that. We did stop doing just one or two of us, and we got pretty much a whole team, or anybody that's here that day gets to be a part of the photo.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
it's a fairly coveted award. The folks really like to.
Yeah.
We just awarded Employee of the Year, which it's a 30-plus year employee with us here at Paramount. So,
Wow.
that's really exciting when you see a guy that's 30-plus years seniority with the company earn and win that Employee of the Year. And you did hit on an important part. The whole team gets to vote on this. I mean, they go straight from my position all the way. Everybody gets a vote. So it's a majority vote that wins it. So that means whoever wins that Employee of the Month is actually by their peers accepted as the Employee of the Month. And that's, I think that's why it means something to them. They know it's not just the captain of the team assigned by the coach. It's the whole team gets to vote on it and decide who's going to be the captain.
That's awesome. One more thing that's coming to mind that just kind of is an indicator of the family culture and the team, the camaraderie that Paramount has really developed. It's just the holiday party, the last couple of years, which I've been fortunate to attend. And, I think a lot of companies can do holiday parties, and sometimes it gets a little bit like, do people really want to be there, and like, it's fun. It's always fun, but that's not my experience of Paramount at all. It seems like people really want to go. Their partners and family members come. There's a lot of fun and games. You really kind of let loose and, take on the auctioneer hat, which you could share if you want about what that means. But like, it's just neat to see, like, you can tell people at Paramount just really care about each other and enjoy being around each other. So that's pretty cool and notable in my opinion.
Yeah. Speaking to the, wanting to spend time together. Obviously, my wife and I are now in our 60s, so we tend to, I tend to wear out pretty quick, especially on a Friday when we start out 3 a.m. So I checked out a little early this year.
Sure.
And of course, a couple of my younger team members stayed behind, kind of made sure everything got tightened up and put away as it should have been. But I kept texting back and forth, and the party was supposed to close out at 11 o'clock. And one of my team members sent me a note and said, I may have to kick people out of here. She still had a significant number of people there. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a very good time. We gather. We don't atypically just pass out prizes because we thought that would be an unfair way of drawing, a random drawing or whatever might not give an opportunity for a person to win. So what we do is we give throughout the year. Employees are able to earn what's called Paramount Bucks, and they earn those through doing significant things to help us hit our objectives. So we may give them $30, $40, $50 in Paramount Bucks. So when they get to the Christmas party,
Monopoly money, right, Curtis?
It's Monopoly money. Yeah. It was pre-printed Paramount logo dollars. So what we do is at auction time, they get to use those bucks to bid on things. And we spend a fair amount on prizes for them, and it could be anything from a teapot to a television. And depending on how much they want to bid, they can bid up to the highest bid, or they can just get in and make it interesting. So I'm the auctioneer. I go around the room and try to have a little fun with it. And it is fun. It is a lot of fun for everyone there. So it's not your atypical sit around and share stories with one another type of party. It's a very interactive, active party. I got up and danced last year with a couple of employees. So yeah, it gets pretty fun and interesting. So yeah, this year I think we had 6 or 8 of them still there at 11 o'clock, not wanting to go home. So
amazing.
Yeah, we had to run them out. So it's cool. I like seeing it. I enjoy having that time. We have obviously we go to the Lerner Theater here in Elkhart, which is, historically a very, very nice place to have a party. And we have the big, a fairly nice catered in dinner, a DJ, we have music, and of course the auction's a highlight of the night. So yeah, we have a good time. Yeah. It's exciting.
It's awesome. Looking forward, what are you looking forward to in 2026, let's say?
Well, I'm pushing. One of the objectives we have internally on the management side is to create new opportunities, not necessarily to diversify away from any particular segment, but to add new segments.
Yep.
To increase by growth by adding segments. We've had a couple really solid things come up. I can speak about it. Literally speak about it. We've been working on some stuff for the defense industry that's we thought was going to be 4 or 5 vehicles, and it's turned into 3 vehicles a week now. So some of these have been developing into significant opportunities, and I'm looking forward to those opportunities coming into the fold and helping diversify some of the overall, market, RV market and marine market a little bit. So I'm excited about that. I think there's really a large opportunity here for growth. There's an extreme runway to pick up. For example, I recently learned there's a company in our region, it's in Fort Wayne, Indiana, that makes 53% of cement trucks in the United States. Mm-hmm. So that's a target area that I think I'd like to get involved with. So yeah, there's some opportunities out there, and I think we're just starting to scratch into some of that. Same time, we've got opportunities to increase market share by getting with, we're not in every RV plant. We're not in every boat plant, but we could be in more. So we're trying to expand on some of those customers. And then finally, the customers that we currently have, we want to build with. We want to make sure we've got as much market of product as they have or they're willing to give, and, do the very best we can, being complete and on time and being within the quality range of what their product line should be. And that's the goal. I mean, meet those 3 objectives, and I think we can see some real growth opportunity here that I'm really excited about. And I think with the culture we have, the current culture we're in, I think we're primed for that. We're just primed to make that happen.
Yeah, it seems like the team, they've been celebrating hitting numbers that hadn't been seen in a few years. So it seems like they would really enjoy to see those numbers, keep going up.
Yeah, I think they'd be extremely excited, especially with the idea that we could diversify into some new stuff. And they're always excited to see new things. When I talk about some of the projects I'm working on, they get real excited about it. They like the idea of doing more and more with different segments. So I think with their support and their excitement, I think we're just really in a good position to take on new opportunities and growth.
That's awesome. Anything else you'd want to share, Kurt? Anything exciting about the future, personally, professionally, or just anything else you'd want to note to close out today?
Well, I think one thing on a professional level is by having such a great team behind me, I'm at this point professionally where I can begin to take some time off and enjoy, my wife and my grandkids. And last year was a tough year for us. We didn't get out much. Towards the end of the year, I was able to spend some time with the family. So that's, my wife's really excited this year. She's going to be able to plan some vacation time with us. So that's exciting. I think, professional level always feels good when you've got people in support positions that, you feel comfortable being able to take off and, lean into them to be able to get things done while you're gone. That's so important for especially a person in my positional level. It's to have that support underneath you to know that you can leave the plant and it'll be here when you come back. So that I'm excited about that.
That's amazing. Kurt, thank you so much for your time and the update today. I think this is awesome. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
And we're back for a little quick postscript here. I meant to ask you, Kurt, about something I know you and I both share, which is an interest in what's going on with IU football. We are recording today. This will obviously come out after, so who knows how this is going to play. But we're recording today on the day of the championship game. So IU's playing Miami in the championship, college football championship game today. And I'm an IU alum, and you and I have shared some fun talks about this as the season has progressed. How are you feeling, and what are your thoughts, and what intrigues you about this team and the coach?
Well, this team is unlike any other, obviously, in the history of IU football because, there's been many stories that while at IU, the student body would be given free tickets because they couldn't really get anybody to sit in the stadium during the game. So obviously, this is a different era for IU football. Picking up Coach Signetti last year, I noticed him, I think, first when they played, some of the higher level teams, and you began to see a difference obviously in the defense. The defense was aggressive, and the offense was scoring points, and it was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? And during one of the interviews, Signetti was it's rather comical now, but he says, Google me, I win. And so, of course, I did. I Googled him, and I really see a lot of similarity between him and Coach Lou Holtz at Notre Dame back in the day when they won the national championship. He's a little bit old school. He's very disciplined. He's very organized and methodical in the game approach, the game preparation and game approach. So I think that he's a different ball game. He came from he worked with Nick Saban at Alabama for a short period of time, and then he took the route of taking the head coach in some of these junior programs to kind of work his way back through. And, a year before last, he got the opportunity to step into the role at IU. And, of course, the college football, the way it sets with the portal and things, he was able to assemble a rather ragtag. If you look at the group he's got, they're a fairly ragtag, medium level.
Right, not a lot
team.
of the top tier recruits.
No, there's
barely
not
any at all, actually.
Yeah, really no real 5-star candidates, a lot of 3-star candidates. And he's just been able, through motivation and leadership, bring them together as a very cohesive unit, and one that's completely demolished their schedule this year. Everybody got in front of them. They're unbeaten, of course, going into the night.
Knock on wood.
Miami's a decent team. I'm predicting they're going to win at least by 7. Mm-hmm. I think IU's primed to win this thing, and it's exciting for the state of Indiana, for fans that's never seen it. I mean, my previous employer was an big IU alum, and I texted him recently and said, hey, you obviously got to be in love with what's happening. He says, yeah, I'm over the moon. It's certainly a one-in-a-lifetime event. Yeah. So it's an exciting time for Indiana. It really is. And we always joked there was only one football team in Indiana. Now we got 2, obviously. So we'll see how and where it takes us.
Yeah. Agreed. It's gonna be fun. Knock on wood. We're not jinxing anything right now by doing this. And I've heard people say, like, his leadership approach, is probably going to be studied. Like, it's really a big deal, the way they're winning, how consistently well performing his team is. Obviously, they got some great players, a Heisman Trophy winner and everything, but there's something about his approach that's extremely effective from a leadership perspective. So I actually think it's going to be neat to read about kind of what comes out in articles, books, or whatever. Like, there's something about his approach and I like your comp to Lou Holtz. I could see that, like, very disciplined, very serious, but also very people oriented and people friendly. And like, the players just absolutely love him, but both of those coaches. So
there's certainly comparison. A high level of buy-in. And I think, that's been important to the thing. Yeah. At one point, they did an interview with him, and he said it'll make a heck of a movie. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get to see that. I'm pretty sure it'll be an exciting movie to watch.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right, thanks, Kurt. That was fun.
You're welcome. Thank you.